Do you know that there was a radio station in the 1990s that caused the death of hundreds of thousands of people? Now, Radio Televisión Libre de Mil Colin, RTLM, otherwise known as Radio Genocide or Hutu Power Radio, was a Rwandan radio station which broadcasted from July 8, 1993 to July 31, 1994. It played a significant role in inciting the Rwandan genocide that took place from April to July 1994 and has been described by some scholars as having been a de facto arm of the Hutu regime in Rwanda. What happened, and how did this radio station cause the death of hundreds of thousands of the Rwandan people? Join us as we dive in to discover what truly took place and how it really happened. Now, the station's name is French for Free Radio and Television of the Thousand Hills, deriving from the description of Rwanda as Land of a Thousand Hills. It received support from the government-controlled Radio Rwanda, which initially allowed it to transmit using their equipment. Widely listened to by the general population, it projected hate propaganda against Tutsis, moderate Hutus, Belgians, and the United Nations Mission Assistant for Rwanda, UNAMIR. It is regarded by many Rwandan citizens, a view also shared and expressed by the UN War Crimes Tribunal, as having played a crucial role in creating the atmosphere of charged racial hostility that allowed the genocide against Tutsis in Rwanda to occur. A working paper published at Harvard University found that RTLM broadcasts were an important part of the process of mobilizing the population, which complemented the mandatory Umuganda meetings. RTLM has been described as radio genocide, death by radio, and the soundtrack to genocide. Planning for RTLM began in 1992 by Hutu hardliners in response to the increasingly non-partisan stance of Radio Rwanda and growing popularity of Rwandese Patriotic Front's RPF Radio Muhabura. RTLM was established the next year and began broadcasting in July 1993. The station railed against the ongoing peace talks between the predominantly Tutsis RPF and President Juvenal Habyarimana, whose family supported the radio station. It became a popular station since it offered frequent contemporary musical selections, unlike state radio, and quickly developed a faithful audience among young Rwandans, who later made up the bulk of the Interahamwe militia. Felicien Kabuga was allegedly heavily involved in the founding and bankrolling of RTLM, as well as Kangura magazine. Now, in 1993, at an RTLM fundraising meeting organized by the MRND, Felicien Kabuga allegedly publicly defined the purpose of RTLM as the defense of Hutu power. The station is considered to have preyed upon the deep animosities and prejudices of many Hutus. The hateful rhetoric was placed alongside the sophisticated use of humor and popular Zairian music. It frequently referred to Tutsis as cockroaches. Example, "You Tutsis are cockroaches. We will kill you." Critics claim that the Rwandan government fostered the creation of RTLM as hate radio to circumvent the fact they had committed themselves to a ban against harmful radio propaganda in the UN's March 1993 joint communique in Dar es Salaam. However, RTLM director Ferdinand Nahimana claimed that the station was founded primarily to counter the propaganda by RPF's Radio Muhabura. Now, in January 1994, the station broadcast messages berating UNAMIR commander Romeo Dallaire for failing to prevent the killing of approximately 50 people in a UN demilitarized zone. After Habyarimana's private plane was shot down on April 6, 1994, RTLM joined the chorus of voices blaming Tutsis rebels. and began calling for a final war to exterminate the Tutsis. During the genocide, the RTLM acted as a source for propaganda by inciting hatred and violence against Tutsis, against Hutus who were for the peace accord, against Hutus who married Tutsis, and by advocating the annihilation of all Tutsis in Rwanda. The RTLM reported the latest massacres, victories, and political events in a way that promoted their anti-Tutsi agenda. In an attempt to dehumanize and degrade, the RTLM consistently referred to Tutsis and the RPF as cockroaches during their broadcasts. The music of Hutu Simon Bikindi was played frequently. He had two songs, Bene Sebahinzi, Sons of the Father of the Farmers, and Nanga Abahutu, I Hate Hutus, which were later interpreted as inciting hatred against the Tutsis and genocide. Words like, quote, "And you people who live near Rugunga, go out. You will see the cockroaches in Kotanyi straw huts in the marsh." I think that those who have guns should immediately go to these cockroaches, encircle them and kill them. Were spoken by Kantano Habimana on RTLM, April 12, 1994. One of the major reasons that RTLM was so successful in communication was because other forms of news sources, such as television and newspapers, were not able to be as popularized because of lack of resources. In addition to this communication barrier, areas where there were high rates of illiteracy and lack of education amongst the citizens remain some of the most violent areas during the genocide against Tutsis. The villages outside of the transmission zone of RTLM experienced spillover violence from villages that actually received the radio transmissions. An estimated 10% of all the violence within the genocide against Tutsis resulted from the hateful radio transmissions sent out from RTLM. Not only did RTLM increase general violence, but full radio coverage areas increased the number of persons prosecuted for any violence by about 62 to 69%. However, a 2018 paper questions the findings of that study. As the genocide was taking place, the United States military drafted a plan to jam RTLM's broadcasts. But this action was never taken, with officials claiming that the cost of the operation, international broadcast agreements, and the American commitment to free speech made the operation unfeasible. When French forces entered Rwanda during Opération Turquoise, which was ostensibly to provide a safe zone for those escaping the genocide, but was also alleged to be in support of the Hutu-dominated interim government, RTLM broadcast from Gisenyi, calling on "You Hutus girls to wash yourselves and put on a good dress to welcome our French allies. The Tutsis girls are all dead, so you have your chance." When the Tutsi-led RPF army won control of the country in July, RTLM took mobile equipment and fled to Zaire with Hutu refugees. The International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda's, ICTR, action against RTLM began on 23 October 2000, along with the trial of Hassan Ngeze, director and editor of the Kangura magazine. On the 19th of August 2003, at the tribunal in Arusha, life sentences were requested for RTLM leaders Ferdinand Nahimana and Jean Bosco Bariagwiza. They were charged with genocide, incitement to genocide, and crimes against humanity before and during the period of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. And on the 3rd of December 2003, the court found all three defendants guilty and sentenced Nahimana and Ngeze to life imprisonment and Bariagwiza to imprisonment for 35 years. This was appealed. The appeal judgment, issued on the 27th of November 2007, reduced the sentences of all three. Nahimana getting 30 years, Bariagwiza getting 32, and Ngeze getting 35, with the court overturning convictions on certain counts. On the 14th of December 2009, RTLM announcer Valerie Bemeriki was convicted by a Gacaca court in Rwanda and sentenced to life imprisonment for her role in inciting genocidal acts. What are your thoughts regarding this act? Let us know by leaving your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, as it will help us grow.